Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today, we're going to save you some money.
We got 5 budget alternatives to highly played Commander staples.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're bringing you daily content, and if you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is through patreon.com. There's the link for you, or you can click it in the description. Navigate there, and then you can pick the perk that works for you. And either way, you're supporting the nerds when you pick one.
Yes, and if you want to support us without having to spend extra money, you can go to tcgplayer.com. You go through that link in the description below. That's an affiliate link. Anything you buy after that will support the NN. Also, if you want to get some awesome sleeves, literally the sleeves that we use in every single one of our decks. Dragon Shield also has an affiliate link in the description. Go there and buy some awesome sleeves.
Awesome is the only word that anyone can ever use to describe them because they're just so amazing.
Awesome. So, hopping into this video today, we are talking about budget alternatives to Commander staples. These are cards that are heavily played throughout the Commander format, but they're a little pricey. Now, for our alternatives we're going to give you ones that are super cheap, under $1, and we're also going to give you some, they're a couple dollars, but they'll definitely save you a buck or two.
Yeah, we go from a range of like dirt cheap, I have $1 to spend and I need this effect, and all the way up to I can spend like half the price maybe. So the first one is Assassin's Trophy. I didn't even think of this as a staple in my head, but then Joe's like, oh, it's in like 38% of the decks it could be. I'm like, oh, okay. It's $14 and it's black and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent, then they go find a basic and put it in untapped. So what we're trying to replicate is I need to answer anything and I need to do it for cheap.
Yeah, Assassin's Trophy obviously is a very good Commander card. It's, as its versatility lets you go and hit literally anything, including lands. Now, all these cards aren't necessarily better, but they're definitely more budget. And the first one is Snuff Out, which actually I play most of the time over Assassin's Trophy. This is $4.70, and you can cast it for nothing. For 4 life, ooh, I really like this effect.
Controlling a swamp is trivial. It's actually nothing, honestly. And what we're getting with Assassin's Trophy, we're losing the versatility of hitting anything, but we're gaining efficiency. It's even cheaper. It's 0 mana always. We're always going to have a swamp. This card's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely stellar. It's one of our favorite go-to creature removal spells, and you're going to save a solid $10. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Just if you need to replace an Assassin's Trophy, this can be perfect for it.
I think sometimes this could feel even spikier. Like, all right, I'm tapped out. Like, are you going to go for something? I'll destroy your life. It's like going to be a great.
Another card that can be even spikier because it's better in really high metas, like power levels. It's Abrupt Decay, $4.50. This hits anything with 3 CMC or lower, excluding lands. Now, Abrupt Decay is a very spiky card because obviously as you play more casual, there's more giant, big, splashy things you want to get rid of. But if you're playing in a meta that's really focused, Abrupt Decay can just basically be destroy anything.
And it can't be countered. There's no stopping it. I mean, they're going to have to like unsubstantiate it or something. It's not going to be countered almost ever. If they're unsubstantiating it, I feel like you won the game. So you're going to get to take out anything relevant, especially in a higher power. Abrupt Decay is going to be very solid.
You know what the ultimate counter to Abrupt Decay is?
Hold on, let me think. Venser?
Yes, it's 4 CMC and it bounces it. It's the ultimate counter. You can't get it.
We got there.
That's so funny.
We're on the same wavelength today. Next, Windgrace's Judgment. It's so good. This is the best effect you're going to get out of these 5 alternatives we have. It's 5 mana, and you destroy 1 non-land permanent for each opponent, and it's an instant. So you get the instant speed, you pay a little bit of a premium, but you get 3 times as many things, and you're not giving away basic lands.
I am absolutely shocked that this card is still $2.50.
Yeah.
It is very good. It might be the best black-green removal spell we have for Commander.
Excluding CDH?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like the powers of 7.
From 1 to 7, 1 to 8.
1 to 8, 1 to 7. Yeah, we're talking about those power levels. Windgrace's Judgment is just, it is efficient. The 3-for-1 you get is worth the mana you're spending. This card is stellar.
Yeah, if it was a sorcery, I can understand, and I'd be like, but it's an instant. You get to hold it up. It's great. Binding the Old Gods is our dirt cheap version. This is 41 cents, and it's an enchantment. It's a saga. It comes down. It's going to snipe any non-land permanent. So that's already, we've replicated the destroy anything, basically. We got a non-land permanent. And then we're going to get to ramp next turn, and then even next turn after that, we're going to get a Death Touch, which may or may not matter.
Yeah, I think this is technically the worst of the cards here, but we're talking about pure budget. You really want to save some money. Binding of the Old Gods is a solid 1-for-1 for 4 mana. A little above where we want to be, but what we get out of that is we get to get a forest, and we get to basically get in a nice attack if we got a bunch of dummies on the field.
Yeah, it's, well, if I need a destroy anything slot, I'm definitely considering this. And the one that might be actually the best out of these 5 in the whole format is Beast Within. It's 85 cents. It destroys any permanent, and instead of a basic land, they get a 3/3, which doesn't matter at all.
If we're not playing really, really, really efficient EDH, I want this over Abrupt Decay. I want this over Assassin's Trophy. I mean, I am higher on Beast Within than BZ is, but I absolutely love having these literal catch-all answers. Beast Within is the staple of staples to me for removal spells. I will put it in. I will have a Beast Within and a Generous Gift in every single deck that can play them. Even if it's a green-white deck, I'll have both of them in there. I love this card. And I know it's already a staple, but it is budget, so we want to mention that if you're thinking Assassin's Trophy and you don't have Beast Within, make sure you're playing Beast Within.
Yeah, I almost think this is on par with Assassin's Trophy. You give up a mana, but the downside you give them is nothing. It's a 3/3. Like I can't stress how little that matters.
Yeah, it matters a lot less than the basic land, which over the course of a game can produce somewhere between 3 and 7 mana.
Right. I mean, entering untapped, it's already 1 if they have an instant or something.
All right. Next, the next card we're talking about is a card we've talked about a lot in this channel. We've said it's overrated for years now, for literal years.
But you guys are still buying it because Phyrexian Arena is $16. So we're gonna give you some budget alternatives, and now with every single one of these budget alternatives, I will also add, and not say again, I would just rather play these cards anyway. So you're kind of just, money is materializing in your pockets if you buy one of these instead of Phyrexian Arena.
Yeah, the first one is Night's Whisper. We've talked, this card is $3 right now, $3.35. It's 1 of the black, draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. This is one where you just have to look at the field. You play a Phyrexian Arena now, okay?
Yeah.
You go around twice. Now you've gotten the effect of Night's Whisper. Then you go around a 3rd time. Now you're above it. A 4th time. How long do you think Phyrexian Arena gets to last, or it's going to stay on the field? It's tough to stay on the field for 3 turns straight, whether it died to incidental board wipes or it be targeted off the field because people know you're going to draw. Night's Whisper getting the 2 right away feels a lot better, in my opinion.
And let's talk about what happens when you draw Phyrexian Arena on turn 7 or later. I don't even know if I'll be able to cast it because I just need to affect the board. I need to get more cards in my hand. I need to do something. And it's like, hey, do you want to draw a card next turn for 3 mana? No, I really don't want to do that. But Night's Whisper is like, hey, 2 mana, cash it in right away. You're up a card. Try to find some gas, get going. Sign of Blood is the exact same thing. It's 25 cents, and you can target anyone, which matters. I got to think less than 0.01% of the time in Commander, but it's just the same exact card. And with both of these, you spend 1 less mana than Phyrexian Arena, and you skip, 3 turns of waiting to get your cards back? It's 0 turns of waiting. You just got your cards back. Yeah, it's not nothing, 1, 2. It's 2.
Yeah. The only way that Night's Whisper or Sign of Blood matters is for 2 things: misdirect type effect, or or the opponent is at less than 2 life, which almost never happens.
That's just nothing.
It's just it's very rare. But sometimes Sign of Blood will kill somebody, and when you do that, you feel like a genius.
Yeah,
you're
guess
like,
what?
This could have been Phyrexian Arena, and instead I killed you.
Could have been 1 black, skip my turn, but you're dead. I also think you might be looking at the double black pips on Sign of Blood and think, whoa, how am I going to cast this? But the card we're replacing is Phyrexian Arena, which is double black pips and an extra one. So you're saving a colorless mana.
Yeah, that's true. Our next replacement for Phyrexian Arena is Stinging Study, $2.10. Its mana cost is a little pricey. It is 4 and a black, but it depends on your commander. I want to have at least, if you can draw 4 cards with this card, I'm almost always in. If you could draw 5, I am 110% in. And anything after that, well, now this card is bonkers.
Yeah, usually cards that give you the back how much mana you spent to cast them are actually pretty efficient. And 5 for 5 at instant speed, that is like the sweet spot. Anything more is pure gravy. I think for these purposes of replacing Phyrexian Arena, I think 4 for 5 at instant speed is a better effect. You can pass and just go, hey, I have a little tiny ad nauseum, boop, 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 and I'm ready to go for my next turn instead of waiting this long journey to get your cards back.
Yeah, exactly. Phyrexian Arena just takes so long. It's that slow grind of getting your cards back, and at some points it becomes like in some games it does perform amazing where you're going to have that. It's like, oh, it stayed out for 6 turns. It was insane. It's like, yeah, those games are great. But I think those games are far and few between, and I think that players tend to focus on those games where it is so insane rather than the average game where it draws 1, 2 cards for 3 mana.
Yeah, or it just rots in your hand because you always have something more efficient to do, and it just kind of never really does anything. So next, we still have 3 more replacements. We're going extra on this one. Siphon Mind, not a card I ever really go to, but this is kind of one of our budget options. $1.18. Each opponent discards a card, and you're going to draw probably 3 unless the game's over, but you're going to draw 3 cards off this. So it's 4 for 3. I definitely like this more than like Ambition's cost. I'd much rather have them discard. That's a 6 for 1 as opposed to just lose 3 life and just get 3.
Yeah, Cypher Mine is actually pretty solid. It's a strange card. It doesn't have like a ton of homes. You want to kind of care about the discard, and then
it's sweet.
Then it's really sweet, but I really do think it is just a solid card. Like, you could honestly, on a budget, throw this in any black deck, and it's not going to underperform. It is a 6-for-1 every single time, and that is going to be enough to usually get you somewhere.
Yeah, you're not going to snipe the craziest cards, but you're just going to give them access to slightly less resources than they had. They're going to have to think a little bit harder about it, and sometimes you're going to smack somebody who has 2 cards in hand, and they're like, uh-oh.
Both of these are really... This is the land to play my 7-drop. And my 7-drop. Oh, no.
Yeah. So you could mess people up. This is the least powerful option we're going to suggest, but for the diehard budget people out there, I think this is for you. I mean, aside from Blood, which is like 5 cents.
Well, I mean, this is actually the third most expensive, and it's $1.18 on this list. But next is Minions Murmurs. Now, this is a card somebody commented on the video like a year and a half ago and mentioned it exists, and we went, I've never seen this card before.
I bet half the people watching don't know what this card does because I think it's hard to search because it's Minions apostrophe after the S, not Minions like a 1 minion. It's all the minions as Murmurs. And so you can't search it, and it's from like Future Sight or something, and it's 2 black, draw a card for each creature you control, and you lose that much life. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to have creatures. This is obviously not just a throw it in any deck. You want to have a decent creature count to do this. Like an Endrick Sardak is going to go nuts for a card like this.
Most black decks have no trouble spewing out creatures.
Absolutely, yeah. Black one of Black's main things is Aristocrat. That's one of its go-to strategies. So Minions Murmurs are going to be great for anything like that. This draws a lot of cards too. I love that the ceiling is like draw 20, but sometimes it's like most of the time it's going to be like draw 4, 5, 6. It's like, and that's easy because it's not even that hard to get that many creatures on board.
Yeah, you don't have to pay any extra mana up front. The setup is put creatures in play. Mm-hmm. So when you draw this late game, it's like the best card in your deck. It's not the worst card in your deck that is nothing. It's 17 cents.
Yeah. Our last replacement for Phyrexian Arena is Disciple of Bolas, and it's 27 cents. And I want to say this is the most specific of these cards. You want to have both decent powers in your deck and you want stuff in the graveyard. But once you have all that, this card is just going to draw so many cards, and it just gains life for some reason.
Yeah, there's something to be said about gaining life instead of losing it. If I'm drawing 3 and gaining 3, well, maybe that's definitely better than waiting 3 turns and losing 3.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think this card is insane or bonkers, but it's really cool, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's a lower power card for sure. Maybe like the mid 5s and the 4s and the 6s, but it will still get you more advantage in those decks. Like, you could just take out Phyrexian Arena if you're playing it, throw in a Disciple in your like aristocratic black decks, and be pretty happy about it.
Yes. Our next one is a card that's obviously insane, but it's $37. It's Consecrated Sphinx. I mean, this is one of the best card draw engines in the format. There's no doubt about that. And for these replacements, most of them aren't really better. It's tough to be better.
I think we did pretty darn good to replace Consecrated Sphinx. I'm looking at these, and I'm pretty happy with where we ended.
Well, I'm not arguing with the fact that we found some good replacements, but I'm just saying, Consecrated Sphinx is one of the more insane cards in this format, so we're not going to match its power, but we're going to do the same thing.
We're going to mimic it. Gosh darn it.
Yes, we are. First one, Recurring Insight. First off, I always say this. If you want to draw the most cards possible for one card, this is pretty much the best way to go. Recurring Insight almost always is going to draw you between 10 and 14 cards, and that's pretty bonkers.
It's $2.60. This will draw more cards than Consecrated Sphinx right away, for sure. And it will probably draw more cards than the average Consecrated Sphinx, assuming that people are trying to kill it. If your Consecrated Sphinx draws 6 cards, that's pretty sweet. You're feeling like you can't lose. But if you're Recurring Insight, you just draw 7. And like, guess what? Next turn, I'm going to draw 7 and have all my lands untapped. It's going to be sweet. This can lead to some huge plays. And there are games, not every game, but there are games where you'd rather have this or it functions very similarly.
Yeah, this card is so splashy. This card is like a card I actually love. I don't have it in any deck currently, but it's so big, so splashy, and I absolutely love it.
It's not the most expensive spell in the world. 6 to draw 6, let's say, is spot on, and you're going to draw twice that many. You can draw 6 more next time. I think this card's sweet, but it's definitely lower power than Sphinx. But you're gonna get the cards. You just don't get the body.
Yeah. What do we have next?
Well, next we have Teferi's Ageless Insight. If your deck's already drawing cards, this can function pretty similarly. It's $1.75. It's kind of like the Sphinx for you. If you would draw a card, you draw 2 instead. That's nice, but you gotta make sure you're drawing a lot of cards. If you are then this will function similarly.
Yeah, it's 4 mana, get it on the field, and then you have to draw some cards after that. It does make cantrips really good.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
If you're playing a lot of cantrips in your deck and you're going to be like going through with like your Ponders, your Brainstorms, your what's the other one? Gitaxian Probe. If you're playing those kind of cards and there's a lot of card draw, this is going to get you a ton of card advantage. I mean, this card with Brainstorm is bonkers. Don't even think about how crazy that is because it is going to break your brain.
Yeah, if your commander is like Jace Vryn's Prodigy or one of those that can draw Jorian, I'm just listing random crap, that can draw cards, this gets even better because you're always going to have it.
Yeah, this is a card that it's again specific to a deck, but it can mimic the big card draw of a Consecrated Sphinx. Next is like the most, well, there's two. This is one of the most similar type of cards to a Consecrated Sphinx. You get a big giant creature named Nezahal the Primal Tide for $1, and he's on the battlefield, and he's going to draw cards, and that's what Consecrated Sphinx does. Is it as effective? No, but it's tough to be as effective as Consecrated Sphinx is.
You're probably drawing half the cards that a Consecrated Sphinx would draw. Let's say a quarter of the cards. But your creature is probably unkillable because when they cast spells and try to remove it, it fuels itself, and then you can protect it, and it's just never going away. I don't think Nezahal's going away if it sticks, unlike a Consecrated Sphinx. And you're going to get, I want to say, at least 2 cards per cycle. It's just hard to not cast those things.
Yeah, Nezahal is absolutely unkillable. I never see this card die very often. You better hope they have 1 card in their hand when it hits the battlefield so that you can now spot remove it and get rid of it. Because if they have 3, they're just going to throw them in the graveyard. This will go away, come back, and then they'll start drawing again.
Yeah, the cards will be back. They're not worried about the cards. Half of them got there from Nezahal anyway.
Yeah.
So the next one is it's the best card, I guess. It might even be better than Consecrated Sphinx. It's Seagate Restoration. This card is nuts. It's $12.08. It's kind of pricey, but it goes in your deck almost no matter what you're doing. If you're a 1-color or 2-color deck, this should be in your deck because it's a land 80% of the time, and then when you have mana or you have an off turn and you can afford to set the time aside, boom, draw cards equals the number of cards in your hand. You now have like 17 cards in your hand, whatever, let's say 10 cards in your hand, and then an emblem with no maximum hand size.
Yeah. Seagate Restoration is one of the mythic MDFCs. We can't speak highly enough of these mythic MDFCs. If I'm building a deck, it's an auto-include for any 1- and 2-color deck. It's not even close. And then there's also 3-color decks, so I'll play some of these depending. It's so good. It's just so dang good because most of the time it's a land with very little downside because that 3 life almost never matters. And then when it's not a land, it's a draw spell? Just wonder if my lands ever do that. Oh, man, I love Seagate Restoration. And if you're playing a blue deck that's 1, 2 colors, just throw this in if you have it, absolutely, without even thinking about it. Just throw it in, and you'll probably be happy.
Oh, this card is probably one of the reasons that Recurring Insight got kicked out of the format.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Wow, you can spend 1 more mana, but it's a land all the time.
Yeah. Very good card.
So good. Next, we got, this is the budget Consecrated Sphinx. It's the same text, but fairer. Sire of Stagnation. I know it's in black. We're dipping out of the colors a little bit, but hear me out. Whenever they play a landfall for them, they exile top 2 cards of their deck, and you draw 2. So they're going to either not play lands, which is a good deal, or let you draw 2 cards, which is insane.
Yeah, most of the time they're not going to play lands, which is good. You're going to slow down the game. This card doesn't draw as much as you want it to, unfortunately, but it's still strong. It is slowing down the game to a pace to help you. I mean, stagnation is the right word because whatever amount of mana they have on the battlefield when you cast this is usually the amount when it dies that they have.
Yeah, but the fact that we're getting to slow them down, and some people are going to be like, no, I can't afford to not play my 6-drop this turn. Blah. And then you're like, okay, I draw 2 cards. Now it doesn't matter what happens because I got my cards back. This is a sweet one for blue-black budget decks. It's got a very, very similar effect.
A little pricey, $4. I was actually surprised at that card. That card, it always comes off as a $1 card, but I bet you the word Eldrazi on it really pumps it up.
And Devoid, that was the best mechanic ever.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, this last one, also kind of pricey. It's $5.71. It's Wandering Archaic, but talk about creatures that are just going to sit and play and get you residual value as the game goes on. Most people don't want to pay every time they're going to cast a non-creature, so we're going to get some random crap I got to cultivate. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, Wandering Archaic is the creature body in play that gets you residual value over the game. Like BZ said, that's exactly what it's doing. Is it the exact same effect of drawing? No, but if you get 1 spell, it's like drawing a card, similarly at least. And the coolest thing about Wandering Archaic with removal spells is people will not pay on purpose to work with you. Here, I'll kill this. All right, now you copy it and kill the other stupid thing that's on the field. I really do like Wandering Archaic. I haven't found a home for it.
I want to play this card.
I do too, and I think it's super strong, and I think it's a great political piece too because of what I said about the removal spells. Find a home for this. I want to find a home for it, but I just haven't.
Yeah, we got to... This is going to be 100% in some gameplay videos.
Yeah.
100%. Next up, it's Aetherflux Reservoir, the ultimate storm life gain payoff. It's $12, and for this particular purpose, we're going to talk about it as a storm payoff. So we're not going to look at like ways to pay life or ways to gain life. Those are pretty obvious. You can kind of just look at what gains life and stuff. But this is going to be like, in a storm deck, what can I put in instead of Aetherflux Reservoir and not spend $12?
The first one is Sentinel Tower. It's $1.98, and instead of gaining life, you're going to be dealing damage with your instant sorceries.
Yeah, it still has the scaling aspect. Well, you're going to cast one spell, deal 1. Second instant sorcery, deal 2. So now you're dealing 3, 4, 5 every single time. And you can really team this up and like just take somebody out, which kind of actually mimics the pay 50, deal 50 aspect of it. But you're just going to smash somebody. You can pick someone, target them down during your turn, and the next turn, guess what? Start over, do it again, try to wipe out the next guy. I think this is a pretty reasonable replacement. It's so similar. It's got the storm damage, and it costs 4 mana and a colorless artifact.
So save yourself $10, get a Sentinel Tower instead of Aetherflux Reservoir. Next is Sphinx Bone Wand, which is only 48 cents. And it's kind of similar to Sentinel's Tower, but it's 7 mana, and it sits in the field, and this one just builds up and up and up. It doesn't stop when you pass the turn. You can just keep building on it.
Yeah, so you pay the premium of 7, like, oof, pretty clunky. Obviously, it's clunkier. These are worse cards because they're less expensive, mostly because they're worse than Aetherflux Reservoir, but we're paying a premium, and then if we can protect this thing and untap with it, now if we built 5 Storm on our turn with instant sorceries, that carries over, and we can just go, okay, now this turn's going to be even more nuts. Take 6, 7, 8, you're dead. 10, 12 million, you're dead, and get people dead that way. I think it's pretty sweet.
10, 12 million.
10, 12 million.
It doesn't go. This card does not scale in the millions, people.
No, it does not.
It is pretty good, and it will kill people, just not going to do millions of damage. Next is Sorcerer class. This is currently $1. It's from actually a very recent set, D&D. You might have heard of it. This one is specifically a blue-red card, but Storm is mostly blue-red. If you're doing the spell slinging thing, the main colors you're going to is blue-red. And once you got to level up to the fullest level. But once you're there, now all your spells start doing the same thing, just dealing damage all over the place.
This card is so good. In the Commander Cube, which is like a lower power level commander where creatures matter and all that, and there's not infinites, this card wrecks you. If you don't kill this card, if you let it, do the Faithless Looting thing, and then a couple of mana dark for my spells, and then they go, all right, level it up to the max, play like Brassless Bounty or Mana Geyser or something, and you should know that you're dead. You've waited too long, and it is going to wreck you. It's each opponent. Easily you can assemble turns that kill everyone at once.
Yeah, I like that this card gets you a little residual value in letting you looting and seeing a few more cards than you normally would, and it slowly builds up to the point where like, okay, now this is a threat. It already did its thing early where we got to just do the looting in now. Now it's going to be my way of winning the game if you do not kill this.
Plus it has the weird, if you're making creature tokens, there's that weird mana ability that I don't know why it's on the card, but it's
so weird.
It's useful if you're young pyromancering and maybe they have haste or maybe they don't from last turn. All of a sudden that's just extra 10 mana you have lying around that's just going to go towards leveling this up and then wrecking people. Next is Mind's Desire, which is only 20 cents. It's one of the best storm cards in all of Magic. It's the post freakout turn. You play as many spells as you possibly can, you go crazy, and then you play a Mind's Desire for like 6, and you just sling 6 more free spells, or more realistically, 4 more free spells and 2 lands, and then continue to go off, get extra value from there. And there's some situations, like with the next card that Joe's going to say, where Mind's Desire just goes nuts.
Yeah, Mind's Desire is pretty dang strong. The only thing that's slightly different about Mind's Desire is you have to make sure you have mana at the end of your storm turn, as opposed to the other ones which give you the values you're going. But if you can do that, Mind's Desire is probably the best storm spell to be casting after that. This one is my favorite payoff, and I think this card is completely bonkers in Spellslinger decks. $6.06 for Mizzix's Mastery. This card is a game winner. It is a game ender. You don't have to do anything to build toward it except for play Magic.
It's the living death of instant sorcery.
Exactly. You're just, all right, I'll cast my Ponder, I'll cast, Preordain, we'll cast some other spells, do all my stuff. Okay, I'm doing good. Cast, you've cast like 10 spells over the course of a game. You're just playing, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, now I want to replay all 10 of those spells, and one of them is Mind's Desire.
The last one is Mind's Desire. Because it says cast. You're casting them all, so they trigger Storm. So Mizzix's Mastery is the first one. You cast 9 more spells, your Storm counts 10. Then you cast Mind's Desire and you get 11 more cards. Game's over.
I think Mizzix's Mastery is close to a better Storm payoff than Aetherflux Reservoir. Maybe it's not 100% better, but This card feels impossible to beat. When you resolve the 8-mana side of this and you overload it, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like you can never lose the game.
Do? Like, do you want to sit there? What if one of the cards hit is an extra turn spell? I'm quitting. I'm done.
There's a million different things that, like, what if it's an extra turn spell? What if it's 2? What if it's like time stretch? What if it's like a 9-mana? What if it's an expropriate that got countered earlier in the game?
Or milled with a Thought Scour.
They're milled with a Thought Scour. There's so many silly things that could be sitting in your graveyard. Oh, Mystic Mastery is a total house.
Yes, and there's one more card we want to talk about to replace. It's Avacyn, Angel of Hope, who's sitting at $40. That is so pricey. You're paying such a coolness tax on this card for $40, but we want to make our creatures indestructible. We're trying to replicate a protective aura around our dudes. So one way to do that, Selfless Spirit. It sits out there, much like Avacyn, but instead of permanently getting indestructible, you get one free turn of no board wipes, no spot removal on my best creature. I can sacrifice this. And with Selfless Spirit, it's easier to get back maybe than Avacyn because she's 8 mana, so you can Sun Titan and Savine's Reclamation it easier. It's $5.87.
Yeah, you're saving so much here. And now, obviously, you're not going to replace Avacyn. There's no 8 mana big giant creature with flying that gives your team indestructible. You're not going to get all of that
for $1.
But that doesn't matter. Selfless Spirit is not only a replacement for Avacyn, it's way better than Avacyn. I don't want to pay this 8 mana for this bulky body. Yeah, it's okay, but why would I always like to think of, like, when something gives all your stuff indestructible, why would you want to pay 8 mana to give your stuff protection from 65% of removal?
Right.
What a weird thing to just think about. I like thinking about it that way. I'm not interested in Avacyn at all. So Selfless Spirit, I'm 100% interested. This goes in graveyard decks. This goes in any deck that has a Sun Titan. It's like a perfect thing. High amount of creatures. Density. You want to sacrifice it? There's so many different decks that Selfless Spirit goes in that Avacyn I wouldn't even consider Avacyn for.
Exactly. And the Sun Titan Selfless Spirit combo, that's basically Avacyn. You have an indestructible thing every single turn. You're really close at that point. Next one, Flawless Maneuver. It's $10.70, but think about it's still a quarter of Avacyn's price. So #budget, free. 0 mana, indestructible. This card is great. It doesn't stop every board whip in the universe. Obviously, you can't really do that except with the next card. But what the problem is with this is, for your opponents, it's no mana. So if I know that Joe has his commander and 3 or 4 dummies out, I go, all right, I have to wipe the board. What if he has Flawless Maneuver? You can't play around it, because if you play your Wrath of God and they go Flawless Maneuver, all right, you just wasted your Wrath of God. And if you don't play your Wrath of God, you didn't wipe the board. Nothing happened, so you're going to lose.
Yeah, I really do like that the Flawless Maneuver is such a blowout. It catches you off guard every single time. A white deck, when the white-green deck taps out, you go, okay, we got him. We got him. We're going to wipe his board. And then and then they do that. It's like, oh my goodness, that just blew me up. I've had it happen. It's a great, I can't believe this card is a quarter.
Yeah, the go-to.
A quarter of Avacyn's price. That is just unbelievable to me.
The go-to thing I'm thinking of is, all right, they're going to have stupid Teferi protection to stop this board wipe, but when they're tapped out, I'm more like, no, they don't have it. All right, let's go. Oh, no.
Yeah. Yep, another budget option. Eerie Interlude, $1.44. This one's, in Blink decks, this is just an all-star, absolutely great card anyway, but if you want to save your team for $1 rather than $40, well, this is absolutely better. And it gets around things like Toxic Deluge and exile effects that you wouldn't normally get around with Avacyn, because it exiles your whole team until end of turn, and then they come back.
Yeah, when we talk about what are the best board wipes in the format, some of the things that come up are Cyclonic Rift, Toxic Deluge, and Tragic Arrogance. And then you have, like, Blasphemous Act, Vanquish the Horde. But some of the best board wipes don't care about Avacyn at all. So this one just goes, my guys aren't even here. They're gone. They're in exile. They'll come back later.
Yeah, Eerie Interlude. I think this is the best budget option. I mean, it is the cheapest one we have on here at $1.44. Turns out that people like protecting their stuff, so these ones are a little pricey. We couldn't get under $1 here, but Eerie Interlude, your budget go to $1.44.
Yes, and if you have one thing that you really want to protect or preserve, Robostars is your guy. That's your equipment. It's $4.80. As soon as you get Robostars on something, I would wager it's never going away for the rest of the game. Robostars
is good. It's a very, very good Magic card. We even had it on our top 100 white cards of all time because this card is just that good. And it might not look that crazy or insane, but when you have a threat that's Voltroned up and you can just phase it out every turn, if it has lifelink and you can just gain any life that you'll possibly be taking on the backswing, how are you ever going to lose that game? It's so hard because the Robostars is just... it protects itself as well. You just can't forget that. But Robostars, it isn't just like, oh, phase out my creature. The Robostars is sitting here. No, it's also phased out.
Yeah, all permanents attached also phase out.
Oh, Robostars is just so good, and it's 1/10 of the price of Avacyn. I would play Robostars in like 100 decks, and I'd play Avacyn maybe in one.
You could buy 10 Robostars or one Avacyn.
I'd rather have 10 Robostars all day, unless I really loved Avacyn as a character.
Yeah.
Then I'd get an Avacyn.
Pay the coolness tax. Chrome as well as the last one, $6.20. It's the most expensive. It's not going to blow you out of protect you from as many board wipes, but the fact that you can use it on offense and on defense to gain protection from like Blasphemous Act or something, that really pushes us over. I don't have to play an 8-mana 8/8 and try to crack in for 8 damage. I'm just going to go, hey, double strike, no blocking, protection from everything, attack you.
Yeah, exactly. This is doubles. This has two ways to go. It is both the protection for your team. It gives both the indestructible and the protection. Or when you flip it, you just cast it with your commander in the field and you win. This card is, if your board is big enough, they can't block you. They can't do anything, and you're gaining enough life that even if you don't necessarily, so you kill 2 players, the other player now has to kill you from like 67 life.
And you're holding up Flawless Maneuver, so they can't.
And you're holding a Flawless Maneuver. This card is so much more versatile, and it references a super cool mono white angel from the past.
You get coolness. You get coolness, and you get efficacy.
What?
Efficacy? Is that right?
What?
I think that's right.
What's efficacy?
I think that's a different,
efficiency?
Similar way to say efficiency. I think effectiveness, maybe it's related to. Efficacy, I think, is a word.
Okay, I've never heard.
I think it applies here.
I've never heard that word, but that's a great place to end this video. Special shout outs to every single one of our patrons. Thank you all for supporting this channel. Honestly, you guys are super awesome. We can't even say how much we appreciate you. It's impossible for us to articulate it.
The only way I can think of to communicate how amazing I think you all are is to tell you about another way you can support us. The TCG player link in the description, baby. Click it, navigate, buy the cards, and as soon as you check out, you support us again. I can't even express to you about Patreon. My head's going to explode if you support us on TCG, which I want to happen.
Yeah, and if you want to buy some of the best shields best shields.
I
keep calling them shields. If you want to buy some of the best sleeves in existence, in our opinion, Dragon Shield affiliate link. That's right. They're not even sponsoring this video, but we have an affiliate link, and we think they're that awesome that you should buy their sleeves. And if you want some custom sleeves, they're a little pricey. I'm not going to lie to you, but they are awesome. We have our whole cube sleeved up in them. We have our modern deck sleeved up in them, and oh boy.
Well, they don't just like crumple and die and break and
they're dragon shields. I mean, they're dragon shields.
Yeah.
They're the best. They are pricey because they are doing custom artwork onto whatever you want. But that doesn't matter because they are as good as dragon shields are. Period.
And
so
when people see us play with them and they feel them and they play against them, they're like, "Where can I get these?"
Yeah.
It's like, well, sadly nowhere because they're custom, but maybe we'll get a few extra for you.
Yeah, maybe someday. But what is it? We have a Discord. Head into the Discord. There's a link in the description below. Hang out with the nerds, message the nerds, at the nerds, nerds.
Yes. Tidbit about our lives. Is it my turn? Okay, so it was Wholesome Family Game Night the other night, and they did pull out a game that we played like charades and left, right, center, just the most like classic cliche game night games. But they also pulled out something called Blank Slate, which was actually pretty fun. It was more fun than I thought it would be, given the rules are, hey, remember the last game of Match Game? It's that. It's just like fire blank as a fire truck drives by. But it's just fire blank, and then everybody flips it up, and you want to match with like exactly one person is the thing. Because if you match with more, you get less points. And if you don't match, you don't get any points. I just had a lot of fun. It was simple enough that my like 80-year-old grandpa with dementia could understand it, which was great.
Okay.
If you know somebody who doesn't know how to play board games and like can't do it, Blank Slate, I guess. We're not sponsored.
Very wholesome. I've never heard of Blank Slate. Peace out, Tribe Scout.